Block Tornado, and today we're going to talk about if life is a record player. However, life is not a record player. Life is a record, and our universe is a record player. The mechanics of the universe is a record player. And the needle on the record player is our current present time, the moment we live in. So our record on top of this record player has been constantly playing without stopping. However, as you know, with the record player, you could basically lift the needle up and move it forward to a next song. So if our life is a record, then how can we go into the future? As you know, the needle is moving towards the future. So if the record represents our evolution, then how can we travel in time? How can we go forward in time, lift up the needle, and put it onto the next song? So the only way this can be done, since we already know what the future should look like, is to actually go straight to the future rather than waiting for every song to play out until we finally get there. So it's something to do with realization in our mind rather than physically traveling to the future. For instance, one day Gene Roddenberry's vision of future will become a reality. However, that's closer to the middle of the record. And if we know that the future is sort of towards the middle of the record, why are we not going straight towards that future? That's the reason why I think our life is like a record. We don't know how to make shortcuts that could help us to get into the future faster. For instance, we're sending astronauts into space and testing them to see how long they can last in space without gravity. However, that is not a vision that will be our future one day, obviously. We cannot survive without gravity for too long, and there is no point to play this record and go through all this just to get to the point of Gene Roddenberry's vision of Star Trek. So why don't we just make a shortcut rather than listening to every single song on that record of ours, which represents our evolution? To be honest, technology that we have today is pretty much built from the same materials that were there since the Big Bang. And if aliens were on this planet, they could easily build such technology, what we have now, long time ago. However, for some reason, our life is like a record that's keep on spinning, and the needle, which is our time, is slowly moving to the middle. But again, why can't we just lift the needle up and put it towards the middle? Take a shortcut. If we realize that we can take a shortcut to the future then why don't we do that? We don't have to physically travel into the future through time travel, but we can get to the future just by taking a shortcut without listening to every single song on our record. And our record, again, represents our evolution. And that's why I think our life in particular is a record, since it's keep on playing and the needle, which represents the time, keeps on moving to the middle of the record. And making such necessary shortcuts is essential part of our everyday life, because, as you know, life is short. And that's why we have to realize that our whole evolution has been nothing but a record that's been constantly playing and without stopping. But like I said, on that record of ours, there are many songs. However, as you know, you could lift up the needle, which represents our time, and move it forward towards the middle and listen to another song. So, why can't we realize that such shortcut is necessary in our progress as far as our evolution goes, as far as the progress of our technology goes? Gene Roddenberry's vision is pretty much one of the closest songs to the middle of the record, because that one day his vision will be our future. We are doing tests in space at the moment that we are testing astronauts. How long can they survive in space without gravity? But gravity is an essential part of who we are. As much as water that we drink, as much as air that we breathe, we cannot go anywhere without gravity. We are going to face health issues, so why are we wasting time and not change the song by lifting the needle up and put it all the way towards the middle of the record, where our true future really is? Again, Gene Roddenberry's vision of Star Trek. Starship Enterprise has its own gravity. And as you know about Bob Lazars' story, as he mentioned 9 UFOs, he talked about chairs being inside the UFO. Now, why do aliens, if the story is true, need to have seats inside such UFO? Because inside the UFO, there is a gravity pull that's automatically generated by the UFO itself. Just like you see in Star Trek. We need the gravity in order to survive. Our bodies were built with gravity in mind. However, again, if the UFOs didn't have its own gravity, then most likely aliens would not need those chairs because they would be simply floating. So, chairs give us a clue, if the story is true, that inside the UFO there has to be some sort of gravity. And again, sending astronauts into space to see how long they can last without gravity is just something that it's not doable. It's not the real vision. It's not the real future. It will never happen. We need gravity to survive. However, we are running around the block rather than go through the back door. Again, we need to lift up the needle, which represents the time in this record player, in this universe, and move it forward towards the middle, with realization that such shortcuts can help us to move towards the future a lot faster, again, rather than going around the block. That's why I think personally life is like a record. But again, we must know how to take shortcuts. Anyway, if you like the video, please subscribe here at the bottom corner. And thank you for staying all the way up to here. And if you have comments, please leave them below. That will be much appreciated. Thank you very much. Take care.